Is he this gangster that behind the scenes is that him? Or is that people
Shout
running?
out to Wendy Williams.
How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
Started like a whisper in the dark corners of LA's social circuit. But when the list dropped, it was like someone pulled the fire alarm on Hollywood. A private document allegedly penned by a former lover of Sean Diddy Combs exploded onto the scene like a Molotov cocktail tossed into the velvet lounge of the elite. It wasn't just gossip, it was a spreadsheet of destruction. A supposed inventory of names that, if true, could send shockwaves through every red carpet, award show, and studio boardroom from here to Cannes. The claim that Diddy didn't just break hearts, he allegedly left behind infections, cover-ups, and payoffs to keep the rot from surfacing. We're talking A-listers, influencers, and power players with endorsements on the line, all allegedly exposed to something more than just bad vibes.
Again, I don't know if we're on the same algorithm, but I'm like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that happened. Someone did that, yeah. And maybe not in season 1 because you're just getting started.
But let's be real, this isn't just about one rogue document. Behind this mess is a darker truth. One that's been whispered in DMS and back lounges for years, that Diddy didn't just operate a social circle. He ran a fortress of fear. The list may have been the spark, but what it's setting fire to is the long-standing rumor of an alleged blacklist, a secret file of those silenced by non-disclosure agreements, sudden payoffs, and in some alleged cases, encrypted threats. Former assistants, industry flings, background answers, all people who, according to some close to the matter, were paid to disappear or were forced into quiet. If the timing of the list is what's raising eyebrows, could it be that some of the names listed aren't just victims of infection, but victims of suppression? One entertainment attorney who claims to have turned down an NDA from Combs' camp in 2017 said it flatly. You can't blackmail someone with silence forever. People crack. And now in the fallout, more alleged victims are contacting outlets, speaking through proxies, or reaching out to legal teams. There's a growing suspicion that the leaked list overlaps with sealed agreements. Some of them still active, others recently expired. And that's not just scandal, that's potential legal warfare. Because if even a portion of this is true, then Diddy's empire wasn't just built on beats and branding, but on a code of silence enforced by checks, threats, and what some are calling a rotating vault of handlers. Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible. And it doesn't stop there. No Diddy exposé would be complete without diving into the rumor that's clung to him like smoke in a VIP lounge. The tunnels. Oh yes, the underground tunnel theory is back. And this time it's not just late-night Reddit F. Multiple insiders have resurfaced with tales of sub-level access routes connecting LA mansions, hotels, and private clubs. While Diddy's team has always framed them as security bypasses to avoid paparazzi and unruly fans, others have painted a more disturbing picture that these underground channels were used to host what Combs reportedly called frefs, private gatherings allegedly far beyond the public's imagination. A former tour manager speaking under a pseudonym described one such location as something out of Eyes Wide Shut if Kubrick had directed for the Shade Room. Dim corridors, biometric locks, soundproof doors. It all sounds absurd until you remember who we're dealing with. This is a man who once built an in-home ice skating rink in Miami during a heat wave. Extravagance wasn't an option. It was protocol. So if these secret tunnels exist, and if the list of infected includes names tied to those gatherings, we might not just be looking at a scandal. We could be staring into a full-blown underground economy of influence, exploitation, and very selective access.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible.
And here's where it all begins to twist, because people are now asking, how authentic is this list? Sure, it came from a former partner, but why now? Why this precise timing? Just as sentencing looms and Diddy sits in a federal facility, is this revenge? A conscience finally breaking, or more sinister still, a calculated strike in a larger game? Industry watchers are buzzing that this could be just one chess piece in a multi-pronged campaign to completely dismantle the Call's empire. There is talk that someone, maybe multiple someones, are feeding this X behind the scenes, that this leak was just a test run, an opening shot to gauge reaction before dropping the real payload. The mood in Hollywood is jittery. One former associate posted a cryptic message, then deleted it within the hour, suggesting that what's public is nothing compared to what's still encrypted. And another, a model-turned-influencer who used to attend what she now calls Diddy's Velvet Dungeons, claims she's already been approached by 2 separate attorneys, both offering representation pro bono, no strings, full immunity support. It's the kind of fear that money can't fix and lawyers can't suppress. And it leaves us with one terrifying question. If the list was just the tip of the iceberg, what's lurking in the cold beneath it?
Don't trust nobody. In Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
And just when it felt like the storm couldn't get any darker, whispers about the so-called secret vault of evidence started slithering out from behind courthouse doors and federal hallways. During the high-profile raids on Diddy's mansions in LA and Miami, rumors claim authorities didn't just haul out boxes of files and a few luxury toys. They supposedly uncovered a stash so explosive it's being compared to Pandora's box, an archive of videotapes, photographs, and financial ledgers that might map the inner workings of his alleged empire. Some insiders are calling it the smoking gun that could not only seal Diddy's fate, but scorch every high-profile name that's ever stepped into his orbit. Think about it. If even one tape contains what people are saying those infamous freak-off sessions paired with records of who got paid to stay silent, Hollywood's power grid might short-circuit overnight. What's rattling? Insiders even more is the rumor that this vault wasn't some random collection of party footage, but a carefully curated library. People who claim to have worked at Combs Properties say that entire walls were lined with drives, tapes, and files, each allegedly coded, labeled, and protected like a bank of secrets. Federal agents, according to one source, were reportedly stunned at the level of documentation. We're not just talking grainy party clips. We're talking what one entertainment blogger described as boardroom-quality footage complete with angles that feel like someone was archiving events for future leverage. Could this be the ultimate insurance policy gone wrong? A collection meant to protect Diddy's influence now poised to dismantle it piece by piece.
Referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, astroglide.
Adding to the sense of dread, there are whispers that this cache includes financial spreadsheets showing special payments to individuals who are meant to stay silent. If that's true, it's not just Diddy's name on those lines. It could expose managers, label heads, and even celebrities who've long tried to distance themselves from his scandal. One former associate went so far as to claim that if the vault goes public, half the room at last year's Grammys will be calling their lawyers by morning. We can't confirm that, of course, but the panic in industry circles suggests that people are bracing for impact. Even Diddy's staunchest defenders have gone unusually quiet, with his legal team reportedly trying to negotiate which pieces of evidence are admissible before his sentencing in October. And then there's the talk of the baby oil ritual, which is quickly morphing from a bizarre anecdote into a full-blown cultura. Talking point. While Diddy's defense team has long argued that these parties were simply eccentric, kinky, but consensual, in the words of his attorney, insiders are painting a very different picture. Former attendees described scenes drenched not just in oil, but in a kind of calculated performance, as if each guest was being tested or humiliated under the glare of cameras. According to one source close to a lawsuit, the oil wasn't merely for indulgence. It was a psychological tool, a way to make participants feel exposed, slippery, and out of control. Once the oil was out, you knew the games were starting, said one unnamed insider who claims to have attended multiple gatherings. The idea that this wasn't just about pleasure, but about control has cast a chilling shadow over what these events might have really been.
I think when it came to, it's not just the more serious charges, but it's the more complex charges, where the jury, in order to, for instance, find guilt on the racketeering charge, was going to have to find not just that Sean Combs had kicked his girlfriend, had beat people up, had engaged in truly abhorrent behavior, but that he ran a criminal
The rumors about the vault have taken this even further. There are claims, unverified but persistent, that some of the seized footage shows these rituals in ways the public can't unsee. Imagine the carefully curated public personas of music icons, actors, and influencers shattered by grainy clips of them, vulnerable and glistening in scenarios they can't deny. Industry analysts are saying this could be the most damaging cultural reveal since the early Me Too tapes. Except this time, the alleged footage doesn't just tell a story of power abuse, but of people willingly or unwillingly participating in a world designed to break them down and keep them compliant. We've also heard that some of these tapes might be tied to payments tracked in the vault's financial records. Theory that certain people were given retreat packages, a polite term for payoffs after particularly wild events. And if that's true, the baby oil isn't just a prop, it's evidence. A sticky, shimmering marker of who was there, when, and what they might have been forced to do. One journalist covering the federal case speculated that this kind of proof could be devastating in court because it's not just testimony. It's visuals and numbers that don't lie.
This is the flight where Diddy said to her,
showed her
she
the video,
testified
showed her
that
the freak-off video.
He showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm going to put this video out. I'm going to send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified to that.
If the jury
they believe her,
yeah,
that's coercion.
The tension now feels unbearable. As Diddy sits in custody, the countdown to sentencing is no longer just about his prison term. It's about whether the vault leaks in pieces before the trial is even over. Civil attorneys representing alleged victims are already circling like sharks, filing motions to gain access to whatever the feds have seized. If these lawsuits succeed, we could see a parade of damning revelations that extend far beyond Diddy himself. And let's not pretend the industry doesn't know this. The silence from certain A-listers who once called him family is deafening. Could they be terrified that their names might surface in one of those coded folders? There's an air of desperation around Diddy's camp right now. Those close to him say he's pacing like a man watching his empire slip through his fingers. The empire that once stood for glamour, power, and endless deals is starting to look like a house of cards collapsing in slow motion. Between the criminal case, the civil suits, and now the alleged existence of this vault, it's hard to see how he stages any sort of comeback. Some insiders say he's trying to negotiate for leniency by trading information, a last-ditch bid to protect himself by handing over details on others. If that's true, this isn't just a scandal, it's a power shift, because once those names start getting traded like currency, no one is safe. Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life. Behind the scenes of Diddy's sprawling empire, there were those who didn't cheer, who didn't enable, who, according to several persistent rumors, quietly pushed back. Whispers are now surfacing that during Cassie's tumultuous final years with Combs, there were individuals within his inner circle, assistants, drivers, security staff who allegedly risked their positions and personal safety to help her break free. These weren't grand cinematic interventions, but small strategic acts, a delayed text message here, a distraction at a crucial moment there. One longtime stylist who has since gone dark on social media is believed by some to have passed along information that eventually helped Cassie disappear from Diddy's orbit in 2018. The danger they faced cannot be overstated. Breaching loyalty in Combs' world wasn't just career sabotage. It could provoke retaliation from a man with reach, resources, and a reputation for unforgiving control. Among those named in sealed legal filings, there's speculation that at least 2 former employees have been interviewed by federal investigators, not as co-conspirators, but as silent witnesses to a pattern of manipulation and coercion. These aren't public figures. They are people who worked in the shadows, fetching schedules, guarding doors, managing chaos. What's chilling is a suggestion that some of them were fully aware of what Cassie and others were enduring behind closed doors, and that the line between complicity and survival was razor thin. Sources close to the investigation suggest that a former bodyguard once quietly slipped a burner phone to Cassie while another, a driver, delayed a planned route long enough for her to reroute to a hotel under an alias. These are the kinds of actions that you know don't make headlines, but they can make escape possible. Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
This inner circle of alleged quiet dissenters is now a point of fascination for both investigators and the media. If even half of these claims are true, they could represent a critical turning point in how abuse within powerful entertainment ecosystems is exposed. Not through dramatic confessions, but through a network of hushed resistance. Some of these insiders have already disappeared from public view, their names scrubbed from websites, their affiliations unmentioned. Others still under NDA are reportedly grappling with whether to speak out, especially now that the vault of evidence has upended Diddy's presumed invincibility. The idea that Cassie didn't just flee, but was helped intentionally quietly by people inside the machine adds a powerful emotional undercurrent to a scandal often portrayed in brutal transactional terms. This possibility also raises a more unsettling question. How many others tried to help only to be silenced before they could make a difference? There are reports that at least one former employee was fired abruptly in 2017 after being caught trying to deliver a letter to Cassie from her mother. Another was allegedly demoted and relocated after voicing concern about the nature of Diddy's wellness retreats. These moments may have seemed minor at the time, but now under the harsh light of federal inquiry, they form a constellation of red flags, signs that cracks were forming in the fortress long before it collapsed. These individuals may not have been heroes in the traditional sense, but their small defiant acts suggest that power, no matter how consolidated, is never completely unchallenged.